At the close of World War II, much of Europe was in ruins, and the people were left with the task of rebuilding their cities and restructuring their governments. In France, they turned to their wartime hero, Charles de Gaulle. In 1945, Charles de Gaulle is elected president of France, but the man who was able to see his country through the difficult war years finds himself unable to rule effectively in peacetime because of left-wing political opposition within the government. After just 1 year, the bitter de Gaulle resigns, leaving a coalition of socialists and communists to restructure the French government and constitution. Reflecting humorously on the muddled all-party system, de Gaulle comments that the French will only be united under the threat of danger. No one can simply bring together a country that has 265 kinds of cheese. In 1946, the major powers meet in Paris to reconstruct the boundaries of Europe at the Paris Conference. When the conference concludes after 2.5 months, Czechoslovakia is restored, and the Axis powers cede land to Russia and France. Even as India takes part in the Paris Conference, it's pushing for its own long-promised independence from Britain. In August of 1947, England acquiesces, and Jawaharlal Nehru is eventually elected as the first Prime Minister of independent India. But with the sudden removal of the English presence, the Hindus and Muslims begin to fight for power and territory, and many thousands are killed. Gandhi, a man known to the Hindus simply as the Mahatma or Father, fasts in protest of the violence. His claim that he will fast to death convinces many Hindus to stop the bloodshed. The nation of Pakistan is being formed to accommodate the separatist Muslim population, but the process cannot move fast enough to halt the violence. Gandhi begins a strenuous walking tour of hostile Muslim villages, helping to restore peace between the people with his simple demonstrations of goodwill. He survives this ordeal, but ironically is gunned down in 1948 by a Hindu extremist opposed to his reconciliation with the Muslims.
We have lost our biggest men. If I may venture to say so, the world has lost its tallest man judged by all moral standards.
Just 1 year after the independence of India, another English colonial territory, Palestine, was set to be released from English control. But in this case, the United Nations formed a special plan to redistribute the land to Jewish settlers, creating enormous hostility in the Arab world. Despite the tension between Russia and the United States, the newly formed United Nations agrees to create the new Jewish homeland of Israel out of the British-held territory of Palestine. However, there's an immediate conflict with the Palestinian population, displaced by the influx of Jewish refugees from war-torn Europe. On May 14, 1948, the British mandate over Palestine ends, prompting very different reactions from the UN members and the Arab nations of the Middle East. The United States and Russia officially recognize the State of Israel, but the Arab nations surrounding Israel launch an immediate military assault. The newly formed state finds itself besieged from all sides. Many of the Arab residents of Israel are forcibly expelled from their homes, creating a refugee population of nearly 500,000. Armies from Egypt, Syria, Transjordan, and Iraq continue to fight for 9 months. The conflict finally ends with both sides drained, but the Arabs are in possession of parts of Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, and the West Bank. areas that will continue to be contested for the rest of the century.